Hi, Rahul here. Sorry for being late.
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. Okay, so can we start the
Yes,
session,
please. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Madhu?
Yeah. Yes, please. Let's go ahead.
Okay. So yeah. So before starting the session, Madhu, I would just need to know about your SAP knowledge on GRC and security, so that we can proceed in that manner.
Absolutely. So as far as security is concerned, I've been working on security for some time. I have a lot of certifications. I have CASSP, CGIT, and so on. But from an SAP perspective, I am brand new on SAP, so I have no experience on SAP at all. But that's the field I'm trying to get into. So you can treat me as like dummy and explain me from an SAP and then get into GRC. Quick session, right? So we want to talk about logistics in terms of how many sessions, how much would you really be charging, and also the access standpoint. Would I get any access to server? Is there any kind of hands-on that I could get into, and so on and so forth? So I appreciate that if we can talk about that at the end.
Uh, we'll help you that in the initial phase only. See, regarding the sessions, it has to be planned out according to your learning scale. But what I can plan is for GRC, it is approximately 30 hours, which I can say that would be, which include your hands-on session as well as the learning session, or we can say the PPT session, where will you go through some understanding, because first you need to understand how SAP work, what are the terminologies that we use in SAP, and then we'd be going with the hands-on session. So I have prepared, I was in process of preparing a PPT for you. Before that, I will understand from you like how much you need to know, then I can prepare the sessions as per your convenience, Madhu.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. So as far as my knowledge, like I mentioned, I'm very I'm just I haven't worked on SAP at all. So if there is any way I could get an overview of kind of products that SAP has, and kind of modules SAP has, and from an administration perspective, how does it work, and then getting into GRC specific module,
Sure.
that would be great. Yeah.
Sure. So we'll just start with the SAP introduction. So I would say that, Madhu, SAP is a product that has been launched, for your data migration. So earlier when we have Oracle JD Edwards that were being used, but recently all the companies are going towards SAP because it is easy to maintain. It has got more security features, and it gives a detailed analysis for the organization to view their security or to control their network. Now, when you talk about products of SAP, we have GRC, that is one product. And very recently, SAP introduced S4 HANA. HANA, that's a database server. Then we have Fury also coming in place. So these are different various products of SAP. ERP is a product. And then we look towards the functional side, Madhu. That's again a very wide aspect. So I will divide SAP into two fields. One is the IT, the other goes with the functional. Okay. Now, just before that, just interrupt me if you are not able to understand, Madhu. That would highly appreciate it. All
No, no
right.
problem. Yeah, please go ahead.
If you feel at any point. Okay. So when we go towards the IT segment of SAP, we have the basis team and the security team, or we can say the admin team. The basis team is responsible for all the configuration. Now, when I talk about configuration, they are the person responsible for implementing SAP to the client system. How much size would be required, how much parameters would be configured, and the steps that would be required to maintain or to get the data into the client system. So the whole system monitoring or administration of the system is done by the basis team. Then comes the administrator, that are the SAP security consultants. They are the person who are responsible for making and providing access to the users in the system. I'll give you a very small example. If you're working in an organization, you are able to see your salary, but you're not able to edit it, right? It's because of restriction. It's simple restriction that you're not authorized. So all the authorization and maintaining the user level access is being taken care by the security administrators. Clear?
Yep. Yep,
Okay.
go ahead.
Then comes to then I go to the different branch or stream which says functional. Now functional teams are those teams that are responsible to carry out the functionality of a company. For example, if I take an example of a client, let's say a product company which is responsible for manufacturing Samsung or Electrolux. So these are the companies which are responsible for creation or manufacturing of goods. So this company, so SAP provides a functionality of various teams which are involved. For example, logistics, material management, data mining, HR. So all these divisions or the functional aspect of organization is carried out by the functional consultants. So this is how the SAP is divided. Clear?
Yes, yeah.
Good enough. Now when you go deep down towards understanding the responsibility or the product that has been provided by SAP to security administrators, for us, it is the ERP security, we have HR security, we have BI security for reporting, we have GRC, that's a product that has been given by SAP. And then when we go down, the latest one is the Fury. That's a new SAP product that SAP is trying to implement. It is the mobile app. So you have the various apps that you use on your cell phone to buy a product. You just go on the website, click on it, and get the product. The same manner, SAP has launched Fury, where the users has not to go on the computer screen. He just have to install SAP. The SAP would be installed on his mobile or tablet, and he can just go and do the needful that is required. So that's the latest product that SAP has launched. That's Fury. So
Okay.
this is the overall SAP, I would say, when it comes to implement in organization, Madhu.
Okay, got it.
Then we go towards the security stuff of SAP. How do we secure it? So I will just remove SAP from here. I'll just use the terminology security. Okay. So security can be taken place into various orders. It can be network security. It can be, organization security. It can be database security, depending on the needs of the organization. Now, when I talk about data security, their security comes into place, the SAP security. When it comes to network security, you already have done certifications that are involved like CCNA, CCNP, where people are involved in IP address, admin monitoring. So that's the network security. As a security consultants, are responsible for user level access and data security. Okay. Now, starting with the security as a terminology, can you just let me know what do you understand by the term authorization and authentication?
Yeah, I'm 100% familiar with that stuff. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, that's good. So we are responsible for authenticating the user in the system, and providing the access is known as authorization. So we, SAP security consultants, create the user in the system, authenticate them so that they can use the data, and we provide them the authorization with the roles so that they are able to access the data as per the requirement. That's SAP security. Now when we come to GRC, so GRC is an umbrella. Madhu, that's the latest umbrella that SAP provided for a firm to control over it's an umbrella that constitutes of governance, risk, and compliance. Now, when you talk about governance, it means what all governing bodies or what all governance can be taken place in a GRC of a firm. Risk, what are the risks involved in an organization? And compliance are the policies that a company, puts in place. So all this comes under umbrella which is known as GRC. I prepared it for you. I'll just share my screen. Are you able to see my screen currently?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, you may want to maximize the screen, I think.
Yeah.
I can see now.
You can see now? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just trim the controls. That's good. So this I just started for introduction session. I prepared a small PPT for you so that we are clear what we are going to cover and how we are going to, go through the GRC. So when we talk about GRC, as explained, it's a product of SAP, which is responsible for govern risk and compliance. It provides an organization to manage its compliance and regulation. So let me know, what do you know about compliance? How do you relate this thing in an organization? How do you think that GRC can help organization?
Yeah, I'm a certified auditor, information systems auditor. So I know compliance.
That's
Yeah,
good.
let's go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you're clear with the compliance, I will skip this thing that you have the little knowledge of GRC compliance. So what now completes with this is the risk and the governance. All right. So basically, GRC covers integration of the risk and the compliance and governance in an organization. So it is divided into two areas. Modules. Let's talk about the modules in GRC. The first and the most important is the access control. So currently, when GRC got introduced, the version that the company is working was 5.3, but now the latest version is 10.1, Madhu. There's not a big difference between the version. It's just the terminology that have changed within both the versions. That, yeah. You want to ask something?
No, I'm good. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
it's very helpful.
Sure.
I think you're explaining very good. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so now when we start with the modules, Madhu, there are various modules that GRC covers. So one is the GRC Access Control. So over there you can see that it is clearly defining the roles, responsibilities, and the super access that the user needs to have. So as a security consultant, this is the most important module that we'll be focusing, that is GRC Access Control. Okay, the other module will also come in place, but as a security consultant, we should not be bothering that much because, as you say, there are auditors, there are other people in the organization that takes care. But as a security consultant, we are responsible to take care of this module, which is known as SAP GRC Access Control or AC. The other one comes in the process control and fraud management. So when we go in the market and when we say that, okay, we are going to implement GRC, so the client or the customers comes with us asking what all modules will be covering. So we cover two modules. One is access control, that is AC. The other one says process control. So AC, access control, defines the roles and responsibilities, access of the user in the system. The PC defines the complete life cycle of the policy that has been implemented in the system. Am I getting clear with this thing, Madhu?
Yes. Yeah.
Good enough. Then we have the risk management. That is also a module of GRC, SAP GRC, that covers the risk and activities that are responsible. That may comes in many forms. That is organizational, operational risk, strategic risk, compliant risk, and financial risk. So all these risks comes into the place with the proper access that we assign to the user. For example, let's take the example financial risk. Now, what do you think can be a financial risk to the company being an auditor? What do you
Fraud.
think? How can a financial risk fraud? How?
Yeah, the transaction can be manipulated somewhere, somewhere behind the scenes, and that should be prevented.
Great. So when you say fraud, suppose I'm an employee of an organization and I'm responsible for looking into the salaries, or you can say assignment or clearing some orders. So if I have wide access, I can clearly change my salary, or I can, mismatch the numbers. So to control such kind of risk, we have the risk management or the access controls that takes place in the organization to make sure that a company overcomes with such kind of risk. Okay? Then we have
Yeah.
this, I would say, a diagrammatical explanation of the things that are covered under GRC risk management. We have the trade management, financial compliance. These all terminologies would be, semi-familiar to you because you have done audit. So these all must be familiar to you. But what we'll be focusing over here is the GRC access control and GRC process control. Process control, I'll not emphasize much because it can change from company to company, Madhu. So you have various companies who have got different policies in place, who have got different cycle in place. So process control might change. But when you talk about access control, it is similar to all the companies. It's streamlined among all the companies. All the functionality of SAP delivered access controls are used in the same manner in all the organizations. So we have to focus more on access controls. Okay? Then I would skip this slide because you are more expert than me. You can explain it much better. So I won't cover this thing. Then it's just the features and functionality, what an auditor helps, what we are responsible when an auditor comes in an organization, how GRC helps for auditing. We have reporting tools that are inbuilt in GRC that gives the complete report of all the transactions or all the activity that has been carried on the system to the auditors, what all access they have used, what all transaction codes they have used, or what all data they have changed. That report GRC helps. That's what the GRC functionality is all about. Then it's just a continuation of how GRC helps in BI reporting. We have BI that is used for reporting. So the management who is not getting into the system with the transaction codes, or who does not want to go ahead and look what's going in the system. So BI is a reporting tool that helps the management to see in the system. Okay, GRC fraud management is the same, to organize to detect fraud that's going in the early stage and can reduce the minimum loss. So this was the slide that I prepared for introduction. So getting into the session, this slide would add up more and more content into your knowledge about the access control, Madhu.
That is
So any
great.
questions?
Yeah, I do have some questions. So thank you. This is very helpful and
Please,
great
go ahead.
start. So one of the things that I was looking for, you did mention that the audit is something that we are not going to cover. So are there specific, kind of tools or any kind of modules for audit specific in SAP?
Okay, Madhu, audit is something like what I have experienced. So we have the SAP audit control frames. Okay, so when I talk about the main frame of the control frame, all the reports for the auditors are generated from SAP and GRC only. So there is no such other tool that are being provided for the auditors. When the auditor comes in the organization, they log in the system and they fetch the report from SAP and GRC only. For example, a very small example I'd like to give you. Suppose at end of every month or suppose end of every quarter, the auditor comes into my organization and they want to see which all users have access to a particular transaction code which is critical. Okay, just an example. So the person who is working as security folk will help them to log in the system, fetch a report from SUIM or some other tools, transaction code, that will give them an idea how many users have logged in, how many users have used this transaction, what all changes has been done. That comes with the SAP part. Now when we talk about the
Got it.
GRC, we have the firefighter in place. All right, so
Got it.
firefighter comes into place that helps user or the auditors to get the report. That is
Got
how
it.
the auditing picture comes into place.
Okay, so let me see if I understand GRC, what exactly we have within GRC. So it's primarily to set up the user access and to control the user access. And I mean, is this all GRC is about, or are there any kind of
Okay,
risk
sure.
management tracking that happens within GRC?
Yes, there is GRC. So when I talk about the access control, the first module of GRC, so that is divided, like subdivided into
Mm-hmm.
four portions. When I go in depth about these, explaining the four. So first is the ARP tool, Access Request Management. That is the ARM that we use. So that helps or enable the company to know who all users are getting created in the system. So that
Right, but
module or that functionality, yeah.
sorry, let me interrupt you. So that I understand that is, that can be a help desk task, right? I mean, it's not necessarily a security consultant task, but in establishing those roles and also,
Mm-hmm.
configuring that specific module, GRC module for an organization, right? That that's the kind of experience I'm looking for. I'm not looking for like somebody within the company that adds and deletes the users and changes the access part, but I'm looking for more into configuration of those access controls for a specific organization, because I
Okay,
just
so
want
you're
to make
looking for
sure I'm,
the
yeah,
ARA,
right. I mean,
activity analysis.
yeah, so think about it this way, right? So let's say you're implementing the supply chain module SCM for SAP for an organization, right? Let's say the organization has purchased SCM, and or they're trying to roll out SCM to one of their new facilities. Okay, so if there is an SAP consultant, the consultant would go in there and do the analysis in terms of exactly what are all needed in configuring that SCM there, and doing the end-to-end type of situation, right? So I'm looking for the similar kind of experience within GRC module, meaning configuring GRC and customizing GRC to the needs of a client. Just so you know, I'm in a senior, kind of an executive level in an organization. I'm not a developer. I'm not, an analyst. So I'm a director in a company. So the work that I would be doing, I'm interested to do, basically is to go and provide solutions for the clients. And right now, I've been working on risk compliance and governance, primarily on non-SAP world. But right now, I'm trying to understand, what is this special module is about. How would I become one of those consultants that can provide the GRC solutioning to a specific client? Those are that's the kind of experience I'm trying to get out of these sessions. But yeah. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so I think the main focus then we need to cover is the configuration of the workflow and the ARA module, Access Risk Management. So when you talk about the
Right.
workflow, so that's in depth the most important feature of GRC, how the covering, helping the client, in setting up the workflow that will define how request comes in the system, how a risk is triggered if there is a risk that will covered in the ARA module, and how the remediation can be done of that risk and the role can be assigned. So I think we need to focus on the BRM configuration, or I would say the workflow configuration, and the access risk, how the risk gets triggered. For example, the user is having two transaction codes. So combination of two transaction codes would trigger a risk. So how you can suggest your client that assigning of these transaction codes, would give a risk.
Right.
So
You
is this
got
the
it.
way you
Yep.
want to learn? Yeah,
Yes, that is one.
so that's very
That
clear.
is one aspect. The other aspect is that, as you know, in US, there are a lot of regulations, especially in the pharma industry, right? So where I live,
Correct. Agree.
it's a very, I mean, it's not only pharma. Well, SAP is primarily used in the pharma industry here more, but
Correct.
when it becomes the regulations, right? So there are specific things from a compliance perspective that the client or the company has to manage, and I'm trying to understand how does this GRC really help the client to manage those compliances. For example, FDA regulation, right? So if there is a regulation that's issued by FDA for a specific drug, they have to manage all of the compliance related, facts within the system, and how do we as the GRC consultants help them configure such needs for the regulations, things like that. I mean, that's the kind of experience I'm trying to gain. Yeah.
So that will come under the process controls, like what we talk. So there are two
Okay.
things that are involved here. The first one is the access control that will help you to understand how the client, or you can say this a client, how the complete assignment of access will be provided to the user. That's the most important. That is the workflow configuration.
Got it.
Okay. Second is the risk, that what all risk might come or trigger when a user is assigned with access. The third one is the process control configuration that you do within GRC itself, so that when you fetch the reports, all the configuration that you have done, or the user analysis or any other analysis that comes to the client, right? Is the requirement
Got
you're
it.
looking for?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that can
Yeah.
be covered. That can be covered. That can be covered.
Okay,
So
cool.
we can
So,
skip like just, yeah. So I think we can skip with the what do we say, emergency access management, or you want to go with that's the firefighter, because when
yeah,
you go about the access management, all these four things are covered. So that can be also useful information for the client, that there are some activities that he doesn't want to carry out with the normal user. So firefighter comes into place, where how the reports can be generated of some critical transactions at the high level. How does a firefighter gets into place and the reports can be fetched. That is one module.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean,
just want to cover.
I don't want to skip that though, but that is fine. That's good to have full knowledge into, because I'm brand new to SAP anyway. It makes sense. However, like I mentioned, my primary need is that, like I
Correct.
said, I'm a certified governance and risk compliant. I mean, the governance and compliance professional. I have CGIT. I don't know if you heard about that certification. Certified in
Okay.
governance, enterprise governance, basically. Also, I'm a certified auditor, like I mentioned, and I'm also certified security consultant, ethical hacker, and I'm certified, in architecture and all that. So I've been doing this
Okay.
for quite some time, but in the SAP world, I have like almost zero knowledge. So I'm
Okay.
trying to
No
understand this
issues.
new module. So Yeah. So you understood my my requirement
Yes,
now, right? I mean, it's an
exactly. So
administration,
how
it's a
we are gonna
configuration aspect. Yeah. Yeah.
correct. So how we're gonna plan going ahead? We would directly go with the configuration of the workflow. Okay.
Okay.
So when it comes to the work-end part of the configuration part, I'll make you understand how a workflow is configured, so that when you go and talk to the clients, you can explain them how the workflow will be configured. Second part will be understanding the risk analysis. That's again the configuration that we'll be doing. Third, we'll go with the overview, or we can say with the theoretical knowledge or some PPT power presentation of the firefighter, the super user risk analysis with how the super user firefighter and how the business controls comes into picture. And then we'll understand about the process controls that the feature GRC gives in, where we configure it and the reports can be fetched, right?
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Is this the way
That's
you
it.
wanted
Yeah.
to have? Okay,
Yes, that is the way we want
good,
to do it. Yes. Okay. So now
good.
let's talk
So
about the
what,
logistics part. Yeah. Go ahead.
okay, so for that, Madhu, I need to have some time to prepare because the slides which I was having that completes the complete GRC module, right? Like when I go with the train my students, like, so they need to have the complete knowledge. So with your demand, I have to prepare like the new form, where we would be directly going with the, implementation of the workflow and then with the risk. So I would need to analyze. Once I have it, I will be informing you, it will not take more than like a week for me to get it configured, and then we can connect the next Saturday
Okay.
again, to get it done and then understand will you be comfortable, and then, I'll calculate how many hours would be required. That
Okay.
would
Great.
work upon Madhu.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much, Rahul. I think this is great. And you will also have the access, you'll give me the access to the system and stuff like that, right?
Sure. We'll explain you how it goes, how you have to go in the system, explaining. But very important thing, Madhu, before logging in the system, GR system, we need to understand how it gets configured, the backend and the front end system,
Okay.
like if we have to get a client demo. So we just have to understand from where the jobs, or I can say where the functionality gets triggered. That's SAP that we need to understand, because when it comes to the auditing stuff, or
Mm-hmm.
getting the reports, we don't usually go with the configuration. We just fetch the report, right? So SAP, we need to understand the system, how the jobs are triggered to get the report, right? So
Got it.
what I'll suggest you, just go with the flow, some understanding of your audit documents, what you have got, and then we'll try to see how they get configured in the system, Madhu. All right?
That's perfect.
And by
Yep.
the time I'll also prepare the system analysis, so that first we have some, demo classes of this PPT that I've prepared, and then once you are clear with the terminologies that we use, basically, that's the most important thing. Once we clear the terminologies, then you would be responsible, to create the workflow. I have the complete documentation, step by step, how the workflow gets, configured, Madhu. So it's been like 10 years for me working with this GRC and SAP. So it's like one hand thing for me. So I want you actually, to be honest, to get in more on
Perfect. Yeah.
hands rather than me. Right, Madhu?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I do agree. And yeah, that would be cool. Yep. Thank you. That'll be cool. So
Okay.
we'll wait for then. I'll wait for your maybe next Saturday. We'll do the
Sure.
same time.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
prepare my notes and then get into you, so what can be done quickly. So if you're comfortable with the next session, if you say, okay, this is the things what I wanted, then I'll go, adding up the things, because as per your requirement, I have to do the changes, right? So
Right.
now I've
Yeah.
got an idea what you want to have, and then I'll go ahead with the things that I require.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you very much, Rahul. You have a good night, and
You too.
this has been very helpful. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Yep.
Madhu. Same here. Take care.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.